Saudações.
Greetings, evangelizers of the
Deus tem
world.
estradas,
God has roads where the world has no ways. That you are welcome to the first world meeting of Jesus Friends with Chico Xavier and his Spirit Christianity work and another meeting of Chico Xavier Friends. We have our fellow Sônia Barsante, who's going to be gifting us with the word present, presenting us with talking about Chico Xavier. She is from Minas Gerais. Her mom, Sylvia Barsante, is from she attended the Spirit Center Caminheiros do Bem Araxá. He got married in December 7th, 1969. Chico Xavier was his godfather, their godfather. They were friends of Chico, and they attended a Christian Spiritist communion until the year that Chico joined the group Spirita da Prece, where he remained in the gospel comments. We thank the interpreters Felipe Santos and Clarissa Tadeu. We also would like to thank the technical teams from all the countries that are helping us divulgating this event. They are from Portugal, Lithuania, Romania, England, US, Ireland, Switzerland, Germany, and Uruguay. Thank you also for the technical team for the radio Spirit in Pessoa from Rodrigo Costa and Lúcio Silva. We
esse
would
instante para iniciarmos
spend this time to start
essa preleção maravilhosa de Sônia
this time,
Barsante,
this wonderful time with
fazendo
Sônia
sempre a nossa
Barsante,
saudação
having our
católicos.
uh,
Pai
so
nosso
the
que
greeting
estás
with
nos
the
céus,
the
santificado
prayer.
seja o vosso nome. Venha a nós o vosso
Our
reino.
Father who art in
Seja feita a
heaven,
vossa
hallowed by the
vontade,
name, the
assim
kingdom
na
come,
terra como no
the will
céu.
be done on
O
earth
pão
as
nosso
it
de
is in
cada dia
heaven.
nos dai
Give
hoje.
us this day
Perdoai
our
as nossas
daily bread,
ofensas,
and
assim
forgive
como
us our
perdoamos a quem nos
trespasses,
tem
as we
ofendido.
forgive those who
Não nos
trespass
deixes
against us.
cair em
And
tentações,
lead us
mas
not into
livra-nos de
temptation,
todo mal.
but deliver us
Amém,
from
amém,
evil.
amém.
Amen, amen,
Sônia
and
Barsante,
amen.
nossa querida
Sonia
amiga,
Barsant,
seja
our
bem-vinda e
friend
a
and
palavra é sua. Que Deus te
sister,
abençoe.
welcome, and you have the word. God bless you.
Pode falar. Boa noite,
Good evening.
com muita alegria
I'm really
e
happy
gratidão
and very
àqueles que
grateful
nos
to
convidaram
those who
para
invited
podermos
us to be able
participar
to participate
deste
in
evento
this
que nós
this event
consideramos
that we
extremamente
consider
especial.
extremely important,
Estes momentos
and these
tão
moments that are so
difíceis que nós
difficult
estamos
that
vivenciando
we have been
na nossa
living in
humanidade,
our
mas
humanity,
acima de tudo,
but
com
beyond
muita alegria,
everything, with
podendo
such a
falar
joy that
da
we
nossa
can
amada,
speak
bendita,
about
conhecida
our
cristã,
loved
do nosso
Christian
amado
spirit
Franciscano
doctrine,
Xavier,
our
que
beloved
é o maior
Francisco Cândido Xavier,
apóstolo de
which
Jesus,
is one of the
que
biggest
retornou
apostles
à
of
terra
Jesus, who
para
returned to earth to
continuidade
give
à sua
continuity
missão
to
aqui.
his mission as Allan
Para
Kardec.
nós, significa
For us, it means
uma euforia muito
such a
íntima
joy, a very intimate
ter
joy, once that
alguns
we
anos com
some
ele,
years we
embora
spent
não
with him, but
mereçamos
we
essas oportunidades,
however we don't deserve these
a
opportunities. But yes,
misericórdia
the
divina
mercy,
que nos
divine
deu
mercy
estes
that
tempos
gave
que
us
nós
these temples that
consideramos de
we
extrema
consider
importância
extremely important
para a nossa
for
aprendizagem.
our
Nós
learning.
achamos que
We
realmente
think that
o que
really
nós mais necessitamos é de
what we
evangelho.
need the most
A
is the
terra
gospel.
já
The
alcançou
earth has
o
already reached
intelectualismo,
the
a sua evolução
intellectual, the in,
intelectual,
the knowledge, its
mas
evolution in
como
high
Allan
levels.
Kardec mesmo nos
But as
assinou,
Allan Kardec
para
showed
chegar
us, for us to be
àquilo
able
que
to
se chama
reach
uma
what is
civilização,
considered a
como o nome
civilization,
explica,
with the as
nós
the name explains,
precisamos
we
evoluir
need
na
to
parte
grow
moral.
in
E
the
essa
moral part.
evolução moral
And in
só
this
é
moral
possível
evolution, it's
através
only
do
possible
exercício do
through
evangelho.
exercising
Então,
the
nós
gospel.
temos
So
que
we have,
procurar
and we need to
falar
seek
assim mais
to try to
sucintamente
talk more
dessa questão
briefly
da
of
evolução
this
do
evolution
pensamento,
issue,
da
the thinking evolution,
evolucionarmos através dos
our
tempos
evolution through
para
the times
chegarmos até o nosso
to
Chico
get
Xavier.
to
Nós
get to
vamos
our Chico
considerar,
Xavier.
então,
We will
que
remember
Jesus,
what Jesus said.
passando aí o
So
nosso
passing
primeiro
here
slide,
our
por
first
favor,
slide, please.
nós vamos
We need to
ver
remember
no que está lá, nas
what
palavras
said,
de
what is in
Jesus.
Jesus'
Não
words.
penseis que vim destruir a
Do
lei ou
not
os
think that I
profetas.
have come
Não
to
vim
do away with
destruir,
the law of
mas
Moses
dar-lhes
and the teachings
continuidade.
of the prophets. I
Porque
have not come
enquanto
to do away with
o
them,
céu e a
but
terra não
to make
passarão,
their teachings come true.
acontecerá tudo que está
Remember that
escrito
as long as
até
heaven
a
and earth last,
última e o
not
último
the
dia.
last point nor the
Pensemos,
smallest
irmãos,
detail of the law will be
Jesus
done away
traz
with,
a segunda
not until the
revelação.
end of all
E
things.
ali
Jesus
nós
brings the second revelation, is the
podemos dizer
love law,
que
and
o
he presents
Espírito
himself saying that he did
que
not come to
representava
destroy the
os
first,
profetas,
which represents the
a
prophets'
revelação de
laws, which is
Moisés,
the first law that
Moisés
Moses
falava,
brought us with
ele já estava
the Ten
entregando.
Commandments. And he
Mas
was
agora, na
already
segunda parte
starting the
da
second
sua
part
missão
of
na
it,
terra,
his
além
mission
dele,
in earth.
já
Once he
desde os
was
primeiros
since the first things, because he was co-creator in the of the earth, as they showed us, which the spirits tell us, and he was already telling us with all the letters, all the words that he was he was going to do with us, and that the heaven and the earth would not pass until everything is done. It means we now are exactly in that this moments, so important moments for everyone to contribute to the, the regeneration world, which is already foreseen with trusting our master, because he is saying that he will be with us until the end of the times. And in the next slide, we will see, even in the other slide, a Christ, also with Allan Kardec, with the second gospel spiritist, which continues what Jesus presented to us, which is the earth. We won't be able to reach to what is necessary. It won't pass, in fact. And we had this spiritism, which is the counselor, which came with Jesus, which was the third revelation of God to people. And this third revelation said by Jesus, when he said he was going to send us the counselor, and he was promised. So the name that Jesus gives us mean for all of us that the concern, the love to the next, charity, the humbleness would really be important inside Jesus' gospel to humanity to be transformed. So Jesus Christ, said he started the most pure moral, the most noble moral, which represents for all of us this moment that should renew the world and take the world to get closer to the human hearts and the charity of love to the others. What a moral that should transform the earth, do it the house of superior spirits to those who inhabit. It's the law of progress to which nature is subject, which is fulfilled with Moses, starting with Moses, and even before we know that the process of progress spiritual, of liberation of our things and creativity, obviously happens for many years. And this left, it shows us that God serves himself to elevate humanity. You please go ahead to the next slide. We are going to see now, even in the gospel, what we know that was launched in April 9, 1864, and talks about the aspect, the religious aspect of the doctrine. The Spiritism sits on the scientific, philosophical, and religious aspect, but we will observe that the religious aspects, as Emmanuel shows us, the counselor, through the words, these medianic words, is really the most important aspect, because it's based on the gospel. It's based on the moral questions, on our transformation, that for us to reach perfection and improve ourselves, we really need to follow the gospel of our master. The only master in humanity is Jesus. Everything in this moment which is out of Jesus and the gospel's principles, they are not real, they're not true, and they're not gonna help us in our transformation, moral transformation. So there, Kardec makes it very clear this work is for everybody. Everyone can take from it the means of conform his conduct and the morals of Christ. So it is there for all of us. Please, next slide.
o Velho
We
Testamento,
see that the Old Testament, according Emmanuel teaches us, is the base of divine revelation.
é o edifício
The
da
gospel
redenção
is the
das almas.
building of the redemption of souls.
Devia ser
As
essa a
such,
posição
the
de
lesson of
Jesus.
Jesus
Não
should be
mais para
sought,
qualquer exposição
no longer
teórica,
for any
mas
theoretical
visando cada
exposition,
discípulo
but
fazer
aiming each
pessoalmente
disciple
você
to
mesmo,
improve himself,
edificando as edificações
unfolding the buildings of the
diversas
divine
no
master
definitivo do
in the
Espírito.
definitive terrain of the
Então, este
Spirit.
é um momento
So this
importantíssimo
is the
para nós na Terra.
important moment for us
Nós,
in earth, on earth, especially for us
todos,
Christian spirits here,
a
spiritists
ação
here, because
necessária de Jesus
the needed lesson of Jesus
somos
was to
nações
run
cristãs.
away, not only being the theoretical exposition,
Mais de 2000
because
anos da
we
presença
have
de Cristo
more
na
than
Terra.
2,000 years of
Teoricamente,
Christ on earth. So theoretical in the Occidental world, we knew
é que
Jesus.
vem a missão
But
maior
then we have the biggest
de
mission
Kardec e Chico,
of
como
from
chefe
Kardec and with Chiku,
até pouco tempo conosco.
and who was
Exatamente
here
para
with us
nos ensinar essa
not so long a time ago, and teach us to leave this terrain of the only theoretical explanation, because it goes to practices, which is the most important.
Aí nós vamos entender
And we will understand that gospel is the son of immortality, reflects with wisdom for the current world. So it's very clear for us the mission of the gospel, which is the Spiritism reflects. They revive the Christianity on earth, which will teach us how we should understand the gospel and its importance. And in the books, the basic books of Allan Kardec, we can see the true spirit, the spirit of true, and all the spirits that belong to the Christic experience planet with Allan Kardec, bringing us the gospel again with its purity and with its simpleness. And it should be revived later with also our Chico Xavier. Next, please.
The gospel is the divine work. So as long as we remain the blindness of vanity and ignorance, it does not expose its sacred treasures to us. So it's very deep the way André Luiz tells us in this book. So it's also with Chico Xavier, it's a divine book. As we grow in knowledge, in love, and being able to understand what the others feel, we leave this blindness and ignorance, and we understand what gospel is. That's the divine treasure that must be born in our hearts. Otherwise, our knowledge will not be the same, and we will not be able to understand what Christ has taught us. So that's the need of the divine, like to have the principles. That's again we see in the gospel, but we have to exemplify things in this meaning that we've been talking here. We realize how big Chico Xavier's mission was. So then in the book Paulo Estevam, we thought this message that is wonderful by Paulo Estevam that really brings, it's a work that it's something very big, something that represents a history for all of us, as it was, as Christianity was done. And this comparison that Paulo has here, we consider It's something very beautiful. And I compare the gospel to an infinite field, which the Lord has given us to cultivate. Some workers must stay at the foot of the springs, guarding their purity. Others revolve the earth in specific areas. But there is no need to dispense with the cooperation of those who need to wield crude instruments, undo intense vines, cut thorns to lighten the paths. So here we have the work for everyone, each spirit inside its dimension and the life understanding at the moment of the spiritism. It's being invited because we are invited to be in this party called festin, which is the the gospel of Christ, so we can participate and understand this big party that Jesus offers to us here on earth. So next, please. Spiritism will be therefore indisputably the strength of Christianity in action to rebuild the human soul and sublimate life. So there in the other book, Roteiro, called Roteiro, we see that this strength that comes from the Spiritism has its mission because the Comforter has the goal to elevate our human soul. So the region of Cruzeiro, where the epic of my gospel will take place, will above all be eternally linked to my heart. So now we will see the part of the gospel here in Brazil. So now we go from France to Brazil. So we see in Brazil here, as part of the gospel, a book of Humberto de Campos, where we see the mission of Brazil to predict it from the beginning when we were found. We have in another book that Jesus says that in this region of Cruzeiro, it will be done again, the gospel, and it will be linked eternally to my heart. So we can't lose faith. We can't lose this work inside the Spiritism with Christ, like with love, charity, benevolence, compassion, forgiveness, because that's what Chico did during his whole life, because he was the personified gospel here. So this earth is linked forever to the heart of Jesus. We cannot forget it. So next here we see that we have just some things here as we are speaking of the gospel in life, in Chico's works and in his life. We see that. So when we talk about the feminism today, about women in general, we think that is very important that it's in another book, Pão Nosso, because he says that with Jesus it began legitimate feminism, not the one that fill your hands. We cannot forget it. We have to live in this world and support what the world asks us to do, but we can't belong to the world. We have to live here without being there. Like we don't belong to the world, not the one that fill your hands with its exhibitors with colorful banners of the political ideologies of the world, but which traces superior and sanctifying directives in their hearts, which is something very important that we can never forget. And in the next one, that Chico says in this book, Trilha de Luz, the gathering of companions of ideal and struggle has been a fundamental feature of the gospel, but we have to do it in a very benevolent way, something very fraternal, because as I said, the gathering of the companions of idea and the struggle has always been a fundamental feature here, because they got together in a very loving way, in a very fraternal way. Of course, there were different opinions, as it happened with Paulo, because of some issues that he had, as it is shown here in this book. The spirit of fraternity, of love and union was much stronger, and that's what Emmanuel tells us, calls our attention to that. We are going to see another thing here at this moment, but about the works of Chico Xavier and also Allan Kardec. So Chico Xavier is the missionary of love, because it associates to the gospel from end to end and confirming the Christ. Everything will pass except my words. So my brothers, so here at this moment where we have this responsibility, we will see here in the other slide the acting, the performance of Chico Xavier's life in many fields here on earth. So you can go to the next slide, please. So there are many moments here in his life here. The author of this book highlights many moments of his life, and here we have some examples through his works and everything that we have seen so far, and here there are the examples of his life. So if we had to list everything that Chico Xavier has done here on earth in all time of his life, it wouldn't be possible. For example, the cult of the gospel that was done under an avocado tree, many wonderful lessons that were given there that some brothers would write, say, but the conduct, the way that he acted, the fraternal hug that he gave to the one that was in line waiting for some bread, as he said, they are patient to wait for us so then we can give something to them. So he would highlight that it wasn't us that were there doing the gospel for like 14 minutes, but it was more important to the people that were there, the ones that were in line waiting. They had the patience to wait for us, because then there was, afterward, there was the distribution of what Chico had received from other people, money distribution, like everything was distributed. So these are lessons of the true Christianity. It was done, it was the most important thing done in a very simple way. And here, going to the next one, we are going to talk about the party, because it was a real party. The launch of the books that were sold in this party, waiting for the presence of Chico Xavier, it was really a real party. That was the most appropriate name for that, because we were seeing the real spiritism, because for him gospel was above everything, because he would talk to everyone, and the book was his great mission here on the earth, because that's the book was something very important. He cured lots of people, so everyone that went to him, he cured somehow. He didn't want to be outstanding, but many people would come back and say, okay, the moment that I was here with you, I'm fine now. I don't have anything anymore. I didn't have that headache anymore. So each one would report what he had done. And so here, speaking quickly, we have the trips abroad that were planned, because he would take this mission to other countries, to Europe, and then also taking the message of the comforter, the spiritism to other countries. He had a very special attention to kids. He really loved the kids. He would stop when there was a mother with a child. He would stop. He would stare at that child. He would kiss, because he would say that the reincarnation is very important. So he thought that a child was something that we should always elevate in any honor, in any condition. So once a mother came up with a child, and the child was autist, and she said, Chico, I don't know what to do anymore. I pray, I've been to many doctors, I don't know what to do anymore. And then that was a mother in grief. And then Chico looked at her and said, my daughter, just love, love, but love a lot, because only love can cure. Only love you will be here on earth. And he would say that mother's love was the support for that kid, because that child didn't want to reincarnate, but love would change that and would make her or him stay here on earth. And about those issues, we don't have time to speak about all of them, but briefly we will only talk about the citizenship titles. So if we could get together all kinds of citizenships in only one book, maybe it can be done someday. Chico, he wrote, for example, almost a city, because he would mention names of people, workers, everyone that had been there, people that had built that city in a very extraordinary way. He liked it, the adolescents, because he said that they were the future. And he said that in the spirited houses, we should offer all the resources to these young people so that they could study and work in this fraternal assistance, because it's something that we have to learn how to give. We don't know how to do it, but we haven't learned how to give. We have difficulty of doing it. Sometimes we open our wardrobe, we find some things, but we are very attached to those clothes, to those shoes. And he would say, we need to give. We have to go to poor areas. We have to embrace the ones that suffer. It's not only send the contribute, like financial contribution. We have to see how they live, the difficulties that they face. They are our brothers. Tomorrow it can be us. So maybe tomorrow we will be in the same situation, a father, a mother, a brother, someone, a loved one from other lives that we haven't met, that can be in the same situation that we don't know. There are many stories close to us.
And they have the relationship with the press of a respect and many care, because he knew that everything he would say with this, that knowledge, that wisdom he had, would be put there for everyone. And he really would say of the importance of the disclosure, and some full things that he delivered were delivered for publishers. So Chico has never received anything for the books that were published and edited. And he really wanted to go to the offices and publishers and all the publishers who collaborate with them. So, my brothers, that's the part that we remember also of the life of our Chico. In our next slide, we will see some of the considerations that Chico would say, was used to say, his influence, his love in our lives was enormous. Because Chico, we we don't know how to analyze his moral stature, because we can't really say, in fact, who was Chico Xavier, the spirit, the dimension of his spirit, which is many time helping, putting Christ's works on earth. And beyond that, we will see how he would care with for education, the children's and adolescents education. He really cared for this. We need to understand, because he said the spirit transformation needed to start in the children. Many would be there in the groups and say, Chico, I need to understand how we are going to do this youth movements, how we have a study group of this or that way. And he would say, start start with the kids, with the child. The child's spiritism is very good, because in the child we have, in this evangelization is the real spiritual formation in the childhood, in front of the future, because all of the next problems are related to the lack of God, to lack of Jesus. And he would say, if I had kids here on earth, I would teach them two things, two important things and necessary for them. First one, love God. And second, work. Always work for others, which are the two critical the two critical things for our spiritual transformation in our children. In the other slide, we see him also calling our attention against the question of the obsessors on earth in this book, A Terra do Semeador, which was what was written for Márcio Arantes. And we see that he said, we think it's important to remember this today. We are facing a very difficult time, many difficulties in this pla- plan planet transformation. Our dear Emmanuel, he says, got used to two methods of gradual liberation. The first is prayer, by which we remember God, for us to remember God through the prayer. And the second is service, by which we forget ourselves. There was once a lady came to him and said he couldn't bear because uh, she was being persecuted and too many people and our brothers were trying to get her and they were bringing some panic and difficulties and he said, my daughter, work in the activities in your center, work in the activities, see the tasks you can do, just be there, work until you get exhausted because they will need to follow you and they won't be able, or they will be doctrined, or they will leave you because they won't be able to follow you in all the activities, which is also the way of us to be free of the brothers who wants to take us to a wrong way, but we have time because we are with them. And also going heading to the end of our speech, Chico says of an extraordinary way about the family in these issues that are organized here. It's in the book A Terra e o Semeador. And we see that it's so current that it needs to be studied and passed to our parents, in our family, in our spirits' houses, in our meetings, and everything, because family nowadays becomes the main point to us. We see many times the lack of being given the moral values of gospel and even of our conduct inside the family. So he said that times some years ago, it has almost 30 years. He says the family needs to open up new avenues of understanding so that its members can live in a regime of mutual respect. With the problems they carry, we need to respect each other. We can't say, oh, you are this, you are that, you think this way, because without the aggression that so often occurs against creatures that suffer distressing problems within the different psychological constitution of the family, what different from the majority, which is what are the positions, and there's a way of facing the form, the way they present themselves with this psychological constitution different. They need to be caught. They need to be loved. They need to see understood, and we do everything possible to help. And he also said that life is a gift from God and we must to improve more and more, valuing it for its usefulness that we can have in favor of others. It means we need to improve to be able to learn, also learn and teach, to pass something good for others, right? And for the acquisition of knowledge or worthy resources that makes us more and more useful for us to help, for us not to be lazy, not to change, afraid of working, afraid of being offended. And there are people who are afraid of people not grateful. I'm not going to work because people are not grateful. There's too much difficulties. And Jesus, when he was teaching us among the people, he wasn't worried with gratitude if they understood or not, their spiritual level. We just embraced. He brought them together. He gave them all the resources to improve. He didn't he wasn't with the bad, the evil. He wasn't there patting the evil, let's say that way. But he brought together and he strengthened for us to stand up. And Chico also did this his whole life. Let's go to the next slide. And closing up, he said that we need to recognize that all human beings carry a high degree of dangerousness with them, and we bring in our utter this degrees, and the only thing in the world that can stop the the human dangerousness is without a shadow of doubt religion. It is the religion that represents that Jesus on earth brought love and charity, represents everything we need to live. Next slide, please. Spiritual benefactors, that spiritism is always the same, whether in Brazil or abroad. However, they emphasize it. This is for us. It's our responsibility and the big responsibility that the Brazilian spiritists have received the particular task of proving that spiritism is the Christianity itself in its clear and simple form back to earthly humanity. It means Spiritism has its mission of for us to bring this way, more clear way, more simple way, according to what Jesus brought to us on earth. And we would like to, in the next slide, we have only two more. We have the a picture of Chico here. We have in this moment to take our our thing and our gratitude to him because Chico was in the soul, we put in the soul of the people the collective mission in a spiritual order for everybody to be mirroring in us, which tells us very clearly our Toque Jacinto. And he says in the dark spiritual darkness that we were, he took us out. Something was from many centuries ago teaching us to see Christ in the gospel, that we need to discover the treasure.
And with him, he says, but who am I, if not an ant, one of the smallest that roams the earth, fulfilling its obligations? So that's how Chico was. That's the humbleness, the love, the mark that he left here to us. So here there is one more, please. So here, just wrapping up, he says, I accept the world and man as they are, and I remain myself. So we have to do our parts as we have been, trying to improve, and then try to fix like our mistakes, and we have to take our thoughts to our brothers and sisters that we have to say that Chico with his life that he had represents a light in our lives. That's the responsibility that we have, that we bring here today. And we still have to remember that the medium hasn't slept. When he was awake and the light was on without being off at any time of his life, in all the meanings, because of the gospel and the action that are associated to those virtues, because he was an inter-existing man. So God bless you. So peace and light to Chico. That's the way he said, honor and glory to the greatest server of Jesus. So thank you.
Sônia, muito obrigado, né, pela
Thank you, Sônia, for our speech, for your speech. So Lucio was here and we were thrilled and feeling the energy of Chico because you lived with him for a while, and we know that you were there by his side for such a long time. So that's why I would like, so we don't do that here. We haven't done that during the event, but there is a listener here that has sent us a question, and I think you have already answered probably, but I asked you a question before the event. It's not exactly the same, but I think it's worth asking you this question because there are many people that want to know about it. It's a very interesting question. She doesn't want, she's a listener here, but I'm not going to mention her name. So as you're very connected with Chico, so today closed, as it's closed, there is a quotation, Sons of the Heart of Chico. How do you feel? How do you feel in this closed spirit group? Is that what Chico wanted? Is that his desire? So it's a question that we can say there are many times in our life that there are some things that go, it's like we don't understand, and sometimes we don't learn it right away. But I really believe that all the changes, the spirituality hasn't left us orphan. We are always there trying to understand, but as we don't have this deeper understanding about the things that have happened, I'm sure that whatever is necessary, whatever is better, will happen to everyone. So the center, this center is working at the Casas Esperanças house because this our friend took all the conditions so that we couldn't stop the works. So we have the works there. We have works on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays. They are happening. We go there, we participate, especially on Fridays. That's the day that we have with Chico Xavier. We have our brothers that work in other things. There is the fraternal assistance work that has been done. Also, there is the youth meeting with the kids. So we would like to say to our brothers that the works have been on. There was the change of the place from one place to another, but we are sure that maybe in the future our group will also continue within the spirituality shows us. So what we need to do now is to work on the new tasks that come up during our journey. So these are times for change, but it doesn't mean that we haven't been working. And we have been with Chico Xavier, with his like so, but let's wait and just thank you for the question that you have asked, because it clarifies too many. But I would like to ask our brothers that have been listening to us, let's pray, because it's a time that we really need to testify our commitment to the gospel, to the doctrine, and also to Chico as he did during his whole life. We have to trust in God. We have to have faith. We need to believe that everything will happen. Thank you. So thank you for the answer. So Carlinhos, I would like to thank to all people that are in the gospel world as you like disclose this work. So because it always brings comfort and to people that are lost here in this world, people that have faced lots of problems. We are going to thank to the interpreters that were the simultaneous translator, Felipe Santos and Clarissa Tadeu. We also would like to thank the technical team that has helped us here with the disclosure of this event, and also thank the radio, to the radio, Rodrigo Costa, and we will also thank, and then we will give to you the agenda of the event that will take place tomorrow, October 9th at 2. We will have Noemia Maria José, that we will talk about the primitive Christianism, and then we will have the musical gospel of Chico Xavier with Sérgio Santos and Marlene. And on Sunday at 3, on the 10th, we will have our brother Caio Barcelli that will talk about the Comforter, and will close the event. We also to thank again your presence here, and we will give the floor again to Rodrigo, so he will show the library, and then we just close with a prayer. So thank you, Carlinhos. So I would like to invite all of you, everyone that is there on the website. So everybody now is digital. So I would like to invite you to access the website Chico Xavier, amigos do Chico Xavier.org. So now you will see. So here we have the website. So you go to Amigos de Chico Xavier. So then you have the library of the event. So that's a distributor that has also sponsored us. There are lots of books and messages, more than 73 like codifications, like biographies. So you can acquire, you can have them here through the links, and all the fund here will be for 2 institutions, one in Pedro Leopoldo and another one in Uberaba. So that's the commitment that Candeia has to all the events, national. So they take the books, they assemble the library, and then all the funds, all the money, they have to just pay the costs, and the 100% of the profit is for the event. And here, as it was online, so we are going to give it to social works. So we invite you to go to the website and then do encontro of Chico Xavier.org. So thank you. So Carlinhos, if you can wrap up with the prayer. So we thank you one more time, all the companions, and we are going to finish with a prayer here that was given to Chico Xavier, that is in a book. And then, so it's in honor of our Mary.
do teu trono de róseas alvoradas.
So
Estende, Mãe bendita, as mãos radiosas sobre a angústia das sendas escabrosas, onde choram as mães atormentadas. Mãe de todas as mães infortunadas,
Mother of all the unhappy mothers,
mitigador das almas desditosas,
mitigator of all
das estradas,
the souls,
anjo consolador dos desterrados, conforta os corações encarcerados nas algemas do mundo amargo e aflito. Ao teu olhar, as lágrimas da guerra e os quadros de amargor que andam na terra são caminhos de luz para o infinito. Graças a Deus, graças a Deus, graças a Deus. Deus abençoe a todos,
so
queridos
God
irmãos.
bless you, brothers and sisters, and see you tomorrow.
Muito obrigado.
So thank you.
Um sentimento me ronda, não sei dizer, tudo é novo pra mim. Meu coração se renova, sinto a esperança invadir. Um sentimento me ronda, não sei dizer, tudo é novo pra mim. Meu coração se renova, sinto a esperança invadir o meu ser. Quero ser manso, ser limpo, ser justo e pobre